Hi guys, welcome to Road to the Big Time, a show all about athletes' pathways to becoming a professional. Today I'm sitting down with a legend. Today I've got 80-game AFL player. He's kicked 143 career goals and currently plays for Central Districts in the SANFL. I've got Dan Menzel here. How are you, Dan?
I'm good, thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me on.
Cool. Now, how we like to start all our episodes of Road to the Big Time, I'll just get you to give a brief outline on your kind of pathway to becoming an AFL player.
Yeah, sure. So I played local footy at Golden Grove Footy Club, and then came through all the development squads and association at Central Districts, and then from there played some under 17s, under 19s it was back then, and then reserves footy at Centrals, and got the opportunity to train with the state team and play in the state carnival as the season went on, and then yeah, basically you speak with AFL clubs and you sort of wait and see, and in the end I was pretty lucky to be read out by Geelong back in the 2009-2010 draft.
Cool. Were there any extras you were doing at a sort of a young age to try and get that little extra edge over your competitors?
I think it's something that I did. You probably don't realise it at the time, and it's one that I've got 5 brothers, and so we used to just kick the footy in the backyard. We used to go watch local footy on a Saturday. We'd be going for a kick half time, after the game, before the game, and then obviously play on Sunday. So I think the biggest thing there is just having a footy in your hands, and whether it be at recess or lunchtime, it's practicing, and you sort of don't realise that you're just doing it for the fun of it, and you're with your mates, and that's the best part about it. But what it means is that you're having your hundreds and hundreds of kicks a week, and handballs and marks and everything else, that over time it makes a big difference, and your skills improve all those repetitions.
Cool. Was there anything you wish you did or took more seriously as a junior?
Probably for me, I've had a lot of injuries, and so one thing that it might not have changed anything, but just spending time with the relevant people, and whether it be developing your core, whether it be developing your strength, your balance, utilising PTs or fitness coaches or the like, to just give yourself the best chance body-wise, I guess, when you're going forward and when you grow up. And that's something that might have helped me, and maybe could have prevented a few of my injuries. But yeah, that's one that not many kids or even adults will look at doing. But I reckon it's seriously undervalued and underrated, and it's an opportunity that yeah, if you can get the right people around you and ask questions to them, then they'll be able to point you in the right direction.
Okay, yep, cool. Now, some would say that you might be kind of the unluckiest footballer to ever play, and the reason for this is the fact that you've had to go through 4 knee reconstructions in your career. But what I find inspiring is that you kept coming back to play, and what I need to know is how you got through all those really tough rehabs.
Yeah, it's one that at the time, I did 1 ACL, and you don't expect to do a second, a third, and a fourth, and so you're just focusing on the first rehab, and the goal is to get back to playing and then get back into the team and have no issues with it going forward. So yeah, doing 4 was extremely difficult mentally, and it's one that yeah, if you had told me in the start that I would have done 4, then I'm not sure how I would have actually got my head around that. But I think it's really important that you need to be intrinsically motivated yourself. You need to have that drive, and you need to want it, because as a few of my teammates have told me, they probably would have given it away because they just didn't love footy that much. And but that's first and foremost. But then secondly is you need a really good team around you. And so I was fortunate that I had the Geelong Footy Club. They stuck by me. They were really good, but at the same time, I had some really good physios, some close mates and family that stood by me and wanted me to come back, and also backed me to come back as well, which it takes a lot of doubt out of your mind, and you gain a lot of confidence out of that. And so it made a big difference for me, and meant that I was able to focus on the rehab rather than worry about, I guess, externally what everyone else is thinking and what might happen with my career going forward.
Yeah. Oh, last night I was watching your documentary, and it's a wicked documentary. I just want to know, I've noticed your wristbands, and you kind of talked about it a little bit in your documentary. Can you kind of touch on them a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I was very fortunate that when I came back, Fox Footy put together a really good documentary, an hour-long documentary. And the biggest thing for mine was when you have a ACL or a long-term setback, everyone sees when you initially get injured and then they see when you come back, but they don't see the in-between part and some of the really tough times. And that was my reasoning behind it, was to hopefully give people access into what you actually went through. And for me, I came up with my own slogan: mental toughness, mental fortitude, which is the MTMF wristband that I created and I wore. And so basically, I knew I had a lot of support and whatnot, but anytime you go through a long setback, you have a lot of tough days and you don't actually feel like you've got that support. It's just mentally the place you're in. And for me, it was, all right, well, when I actually talk to the people around me, or when I actually look at the big picture, that makes me happy. But unfortunately, that's only 10% of the time. So I need to come up with a way where I can feel on top of this all the time and I can feel as pumped and as positive as possible. And in coming up with my wristband idea, it meant that wearing it every single day, no matter how much I struggled, I could look down at it and reflect on it. And it just gave me a hit of adrenaline and go, okay, I know I've got this. I know I've got the support. I know I'm going to overcome this. And it really helped me throughout my rehabs.
Yeah, cool. Is there anything you're doing nowadays to help prevent for any further injuries?
In terms of my specific training, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've done this for the last 5 or 6 years, realistically, as a result of my injuries, and it's a good 20 to 30-minute preparation before every single training session, before I go out to the track, and that's getting everything switched on, that's getting myself strong. But it's just knowing your body, and so for me, I'm well aware that although I feel as good as I ever have now, when I was initially coming back, I couldn't have played if I didn't do a lot of this extra work, and that just became part of it for me. And so I've continued it along, and what it does, it makes you really strong and whatnot, but it gives me the best chance to stay injury free. And I know it makes a big difference for me, and I'll pass it on to others as well. But yeah, it's doing that little bit extra to give yourself every chance to not only stay injury free, but to perform to the level that you know you can perform.
Yeah, cool. What would you say is your most successful kind of training aid or piece of equipment apart from a footy?
I think my most successful would be my mind. Now, to be honest, I think that knowing exactly what works for me and what doesn't, and what I have to do to get the best out of myself is a massive one. And I think this goes for anyone, to be honest. It's important to when you want to play at a higher level to actually understand your body, to understand your strengths, your weaknesses, and then to be able to work on them as well. And so that way, when it comes around a game day, when it comes around to training, it's not just a fluke when things go right, and it's not a surprise when things go wrong. You actually have a really good understanding why things happen and why you perform the way you do, and that way you can get a really good routine set and give yourself the best chance to develop and improve every time.
Yeah, cool. Now, this last little question, or it's not really a question, but I've noticed, obviously, now you have a website up and running, and obviously it's just your slogan, MTMF. Can you just touch on kind of how that started?
Yeah, sure. So I briefly touched on the documentary before, and what happened from there was I had a lot of people contact me and ask where they could buy my wristbands, and I had a lot more people contact me and say, I'm going through a ACL, I'm going through an injury, I'm going through just a mental health setback. What's your advice? And so I found that I was writing back to a lot of people a similar message, and so that's where the website idea came up. And I've wrote my own ACL plan on there for anyone who injures their ACL. That will coach them through it mentally and physically. But not just that, there's a lot of information on there around setbacks, and you might not even play sport at all, and you might struggle mentally through depression or something else. And so there's things on there that have worked for me, and it explains why you struggle and how to overcome that. And then, we started selling wristbands, and it's gone to a full sports casual apparel range now. So, it's a bit of a mixture of everything, and that's sort of how it came about, from the awareness of what I'd overcome. And there's so many people that can relate to, unfortunately, to my story, because everyone goes through setbacks in their life, whether it be sport related or not at all. So that's sort of where it came up, and it keeps developing every year.
Cool. Well, okay, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you today. You're such an inspiration to me and plenty of others around Australia. You've given us some awesome advice, and hope you have some really great footy seasons ahead of you.
No, thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that, and thanks for having me on. And I love what you're doing. It's a great idea and a great concept. So hopefully you have some real success with this too, and all the best with everything in the future.
Cheers, mate. I've got plenty more questions to ask, so stay tuned for our next guest. If you're a young footballer and have a question for an AFL player, send it into the Road to the Big Time Instagram. This has been Road to the Big Time.